Okay, I'm back locking up the head here. So I just put the springs in here. We're working on the, which head are we on? We're on the front head right now. And let's see, I mixed the valves up. Nope, I got the right valves in there. Got an F on there. So I put a little light duty springs in here. So you can just put this together with your fingers and check stuff. That's all you do. These here are the springs we're going to use. These ones here are Andrews. These ones here are Crane over here, and these ones here are another set of Andrews. So these Andrews have no striping on them. This Andrews has a blue stripe, so maybe these are Crane springs too. Who knows? In the package says Andrews. Doesn't matter. So they'll work. So anyway, you got your collar and your keeper here. Go into something like that. You got your keepers right here to hold it. These are your upper and lower collars. Now, in order to put valve seals in here, you shorten the guide up a little bit, and you cut the collar down a little bit right there. So you cut this shoulder off down to flush, so it looks like that, and that allows you to have room for a valve seal. And you cut the top of the valve guide down, which is this part right here, that part. You cut that down to usually around 425, 430 in height for an aftermarket cam. Stock cam, you can leave it at 450 height. So right now this one here looks like we're about 440 or so. So we'll knock this down a little bit. And that cutter that does that. And then you can put the valve seal on there. So these here, after you cut them, there's still plenty of thickness in here for the material. Still about 80 or 90 thou thick. And they don't need to be that thick there, 3/16, whatever that is. You're not going to hurt that collar or anything. Alright, so anyway, you come up with all your dimensions. Basically, it works out to being that for a shovel head, you want to use about 1.375 installed height. On a pan head, you run about 1.405. That's assuming your spring coil binds at 880. So you collapse the spring all the way down. You're in the vise with the collars here. So you put your two collars together, stick this in a vise, collapse all the way down to coil bind. Coil bind is when it collapses all the way and these coils come together and locks up solid. And you want that number to be 880, roughly. It's anywhere from 860 to 890 is where most of them come in at. And if you have an aftermarket cam and a pan head, you're going to have 475 lift in it. Because even though these cams are 450 lift here, like Crane cams or Andrews or anybody, doesn't really matter. They're 455 lift on a shovel. On a pan head with the extra Rockerarm ratio, they up to 475, 480. So you calculate those numbers together, your install heights come up with these two numbers here. You add an extra 50 thousandths in there for coil bind clearance. So that means the spring will get within 50 thousandths of full coil bind, but nothing more than that. So some of my other videos I get more detail about that, but they're all about the same. So basically right now we're going to look to see what our installed heights are on this head here. So we put a little check-in spring in there. It holds the collars where they belong. You just come in there and you measure it. So this one here is around 410, 415 right now. Probably about 415. I'm trying to make it so the camera can see it, not me. So this one here we can run it the way it is. An extra 5 thou or 10 thou ain't going to hurt us any installed height. Now this one over here is a different story. We're more, let's see what we got here. We are more in about 450 area, 445. So this one here is sunk a little bit deeper, this valve. So this one here we're going to wind up putting like a 30 thou shim on it, which will get us about 10, 15 more than we need, but it's okay. It's a street motor, not a race motor, so it doesn't matter. So this intake valve here is sunk a little bit deeper because of the wear. That's what it took to clean it. So it's a little bit deeper. And if you look at the cut right in here, it doesn't look like it's much deeper, but you can see that it is a little bit deeper than this side here. But once again, you can't always go by what it looks like. It's what it measures what matters. So, because when you get out here, see this one looks the same as this one here. If you get over here, this one actually doesn't look as bad as this one. So they look pretty equal, but when you measure them, they're not equal. So you can never really tell. So the port job, that's what they look like in there. You can see why your radius cut that port. Radius means right through here where your finger just rolls around the corner real nicely. And that allows you to see the valve head there. If you can see it, the air will go in it. If you can't see it, the valve won't go. The airflow doesn't flow in there very well. That's how stock is. These have been cut quite a bit. Makes it run a lot better. Okay, so basically right now our installed height is, we need to put a 30 thou shim into the set when we put them together. So that's stuff you need to check, and that's how you check it. So all you do now is put a shim in it, and shims are over here. These copper ones here, the big ones here. You got 15s, 30s, and 60s. These are the 60s, the big fat ones. These here are the 30s, right here. They're color coded, but you can't always go by color coding either. So now if you put that one in there and you measure your installed height, I'm on the wrong one. Now this is just kind of cheating because it's not real world, but for the camera it gives you a good idea what we're doing. I'm not quite flat in here. There we go. Okay, now if you look at your install height, you see you're back about 415, 410 like the other one is now. But you don't want to do it this way. You want to actually physically put it in there and then measure it. You know for sure what it is. Because there might be a lip or something on there. Sometimes there's a radius cutting the guide in here, and this doesn't sit in there correctly. The other big problem is on these collars here is the shim is too big, and it does not sit in here flat. It's kind of in the middle. You know, sitting between the two high spots in the chamfer, and it's actually got a gap between it and the collar. That's why you have to use these special, real small diameter ones. That's what these are for. These are for Harleys. So you gotta make sure you have the right parts. So we're gonna wind up using these shims here in the two intake valves. These heads are pretty equal on our install heights when you measure them all up in here. So that's how you do that. It's no big deal, but you just have stuff you have to do. So lay that over there for now. So this still has to be all cleaned up and checked out. And these I got to cut the collars yet. And I got to cut the guide heights down a little bit right here. So we're not quite ready for assembly yet. We're still just checking overall clearances. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the rock arms up on here and get an idea of what they look like. So let me go gather those up and we'll see what they look like.